Welcome to Crucible Boot Camp, episode 14. I'm your host, King Koala, and today we're going to be looking at a rumble on the Timekeeper, which is a new map that I haven't delved into yet, which is exciting. It's by a user named Air Dump Truck, and he is using his loadout today is Sunsinger with a hand cannon, IS Luna, and a fusion rifle, the Panta Ray. So, or as I like to call it, the Panty Raid. Go on, trademark it, do it. So, not any more cheesy jokes. Let's go ahead and get into it. So he spawns outside in the pool, and he's going to move inside, which is an okay location to be with a fusion rifle. The real issue with pushing all the way into the lower pool room is that this hole that's above on the heavy, it's pretty easy to drop down and get shotgunned on. Spoilers. He gets dropped down and gets shotgunned on. So as a fusion rifle user, the most important thing that you need to be aware of when playing Rumble is that because the game mode is about time between kills, and obviously a shotgun is going to be the shortest time between kills as you're moving around the map, you have to be very aware of where you're going to get engaged on. So in this particular instance, you don't want to put yourself in the location where you're going to instantly die if someone drops onto you. You see him spawn outside a donut, and he runs back in towards back dugout. This is a good spot to be on this map in Rumble, because most of the areas that you're going to be pushed through are all around choke points. So it gives you a really good opportunity to utilize reading your radar and set up defending yourself with your fusion, which is the strength of your fusion rifle, being defensive with it. So he gets a nice kill here, and he reloads immediately after. You don't need to be reloading immediately after you kill someone with your fusion rifle. Again, he's just kind of patrolling back and forth. This is good. He's getting basically free kills. He tries to pre-nade and misses it, but again, he just waits for the guy to push out in the open. He wants to keep that space, that engagement range where he's not going to immediately get shotgunned with the fusion rifle. He slides there, but I'd like to see him slide more and kind of wait for people next to cover, right? A lot of these engagements right now, they're all out of cover. So just a simple movement like he just did, where he just paces to the left to get out of that sight line down the mid lane. That's what you want to be doing. He's hugging the wall, which is good. Again, hugging walls, hugging cover, just pushing out, going back into cover. This is really nice movement right now. So again, he's moving back to the mid lane, and that kind of highlights the importance of aiming at the body with fusion rifles as opposed to the head. You notice right here, when he's releasing his burst initially, it is above. So you need to be aiming low with your fusion. Even if you if you don't even want to bother trying to control the recoil, just aim at their legs, at their shins, at their feet. Let the recoil ride all the way up the body. If you're going to aim at the head or the chest like that, you have to be aware that you need to try to attempt to control the recoil by flicking down on the stick as the burst comes out. And that sort of understanding and awareness of how the gun works really comes with time, because every fusion rifle is going to have a different recoil pattern that you have to get used to. Just like every hand cannon is going to have a different recoil pattern that you have to get used to. So we had a really nice pre-nade there that ended up with a crossfire. Here is another mistake, again, I see a lot of players make. It's that popping their super out of cover. If this guy had a shotgun, then in the time it takes for you to complete the animation of Radiant Skin or Fireborn, I believe he's running Radiant Skin, he could have been killed with just a shotgun melee follow-up. You want to pop, if you're going to push into someone with the intention of popping your super, then as soon as someone shows up on radar, you should be popping your super, not waiting for you to visually confirm that they're there. That way you can proactively be throwing grenades to prime them earlier, as opposed to right now, how He popped it right in front. He's lucky that he didn't get punished for that. And here's a little thing to note when you're a Sunsinger in Radiance. Remember that your grenade charges really, really fast, obviously. So whiffing them like that, just kind of tossing them, trying to get confirms, that's okay. But the most important thing is to make sure you have a grenade up as your super is finishing. So you see there, when the timer is at about, I'd say that's about an eighth, you have enough time for one more grenade. So don't throw that last grenade as soon as you get it. That's the same as if you started a match with the grenade. Keep track of that. Really nice priming grenade, but again, he's moving in too aggressively. If you're gonna throw a grenade like that, then just follow up melee. Don't try to shoot your weapon, especially if you're in melee range. It's gonna immediately kill, as opposed to you still need 2 headshots from your hand cannon after priming them with a firebolt to finish them off. So he's in back laser room. He's gonna try to push out towards a pool. This little jump here, this little maneuver, is how you should be engaging, or one of 2 ways you should be engaging every single fight with a hand cannon. This doesn't work with any other weapon type because of the inaccuracy in air. But if you approach every fight with a jump or a slide, you're going to have that split second extra amount of time to get a shot off, to disorient your opponent, and you're going to create a smaller moving target that's a lot more difficult for your opponent to attack. We do this because for 2 reasons. One is we're most likely going to get first shot off. And 2 is if the opponent we are engaging is a sniper, they have a much more difficult shot to make than if you just ran around the corner and engaged them heads up, which is something that you never want to do. You never want to give your opponent a good opportunity to get a shot off on you. If they do get a shot off on you, you want to make sure that it's just going to be a body shot and that you still have time to try to finish them off. If you miss your shots, if you don't win the fight, that's fine. But the habit you want to get into is constantly engaging from either a slide or a jump. And that's also why when you hear a lot of the top players, especially snipers, they complain about shotguns because they're not used to people never being at head level. A lot of the people that you would think are really good snipers are only really good because they're very good at shooting people when they're coming straight at them, or in places that they expect them to come at them from, or in ways where they're completely heads up so they can pre-aim. If you're sliding or jumping around corners, you put it on the sniper to make the shot, as opposed to you put it on the sniper putting it on you to be dumb. If you're not dumb, then that's what creates a really good sniper. And if that sniper is hitting you as you're in the jump or the slide, that's just a good shot, like plain and simple. So again, those kind of engagements are going to happen where you jump to engage and then you just lose the fight. That's okay. So we see he has his special back. He's kind of getting attacked here. You saw the little click, click, click. He's pre-charging his fusion. That's a habit you want to get into. You don't know when they're going to peek around the corner, but you do want to be prepared for it. Learning the time it takes for your fusion to actually go from charging to firing is really important as well, especially for pre-firing, because that means if you time the pre-firing properly, as soon as that person comes around the corner, you're already firing at them, if you can properly predict that, by riding the edge of the fire. Without doing that, you're giving them a very good opportunity to trade with you, especially if they're running a shotgun, before you get your full burst out. So, because of the ammo changes that didn't affect fusion rifles, it's pretty easy to use your fusion rifle as your primary weapon pretty much the entire match. If you're like a heavy secondary user that doesn't necessarily like shotgunning, fusions are a really good option. There are obviously a lot of weaknesses and they have a very high skill floor for you to learn, but they are very rewarding. the ranges in which you can deal with people. So there's a good example of why we need to be sliding or jumping to challenge. We don't know who's sniping. So even though he got a headshot on him, which causes flinch, that's fine. He was at head level and he didn't move, so his opponent had a really good opportunity to pre-aim. You don't want to give your opponent that opportunity to get that pre-aim. It's okay to just abandon them as well. If you think they're sniping and you take one shot, they move away, and you don't have any way to properly challenge them, then just leave. You don't necessarily need to stay around and try to get that kill. You can get another angle, or especially in Rumble, you can go somewhere else to find a different person completely. So he hears a hammer. This is a good opportunity to run. He tries to challenge. He gets pretty lucky and steals that kill away from him. But keep in mind that we haven't seen very many lulls in air dump trucks play. We haven't seen him really wait to try to find people to fight, this is the kind of pace that you want to be playing Rumble at. You spawn, you move to where you think people are or where you know they are, and you immediately challenge them. Heavy's kind of rough just because you can't one-hit kill very quickly, so you'd end up dying to machine guns, as you can see, a lot. Again, see, he's pre-charging around the corner. Nice defensive grenade. If he didn't throw that grenade, he was probably dead. Utilizing cover, again, he didn't need to move. If you're already in cover, you don't need to leave it. Sees someone behind him in dugout. Challenges there. Whiffs his melee. That's okay. If you're gonna try to melee, it's best to slide into them. If they're absolute like that, and you just don't have time to switch to your primary. A better option for him here would have been to backpedal while switching to his primary. Maybe hop into the air to get into cover. Remember that if someone is below you and there's a wall above you, you basically create your own cover by jumping into the air. This is a good super where he popped it out of cover. He knew where people were. He kind of gets into melee range where he should have just immediately meleeed there instead of trying to. He basically gave his opponent an opportunity to kill him. If he just went up for the melee and one-shot him anyway, it would have been a lot safer. And then he was just low, so he gets shotgun there. Not a big deal. Again, he's pushing through donut. He's kind of pushing out of cover when he's doing a lot of these pushes. This is the most vulnerable point that you have in Rumble, is when you're in the middle of a traffic lane. So you kind of want to hug to one side of the wall or the other. You don't want to be right in the center of the lane, because that's A, where a lot of people expect you to be, and B, it doesn't give you very many options for retreating. So again, he's on donut. I don't like the jump onto donut if you don't have a sniper. The strength of being on donut is really cross-killing someone that's spawning or coming out of laser room and back cave. This is a good example of why you don't jump around like quite so much during trades if you're not going to get first shot off. You saw him, if he just hugged that rock, he could have been able to pre-charge his fusion. Whereas instead he just kind of pushed into him and gave him the kill for free because he already had boots on the ground for the stability. So when you do end up switching your weapons with a fusion rifle, as soon as you switch, you have to commit to your primary pullout. Because of the charge time, you don't really have a chance to get 2 bursts out if you do a quick swap like that. The only reason I would do that is if you're trying to proc hot swap. But in that case, it's still better to pull out your ghost to proc hot swap as opposed to completely switch weapons. So there, once you pull out your primary as a fusion rifle user, you gotta commit to the kill. Or try to get a melee off. He ends up getting a crossfire here. In my opinion, he never should have challenged the bubble. He should have just let it go. Tried to find someone else. The only time you want to challenge bubble is if you have a super that breaks it. So fist or Nova Bomb. Everything else is pretty much a death trap for going into bubble. So a note at the end there, we notice that he basically gets stuck 3 kills down for a solid 2 minutes. And that's because a lot of his challenges are out in the open. In my opinion, he should have won this game. But because of the way he was challenging, both off the ground, out of cover, when he didn't have the opportunity, it wasn't a real flank, as well as moving through the center of traffic lanes and kind of getting caught in between people as he's moving to through the traffic lanes to the power points. That was ultimately his demise in this particular game. So some good things that he did throughout this game were definitely he moved around the map to engage people very well, very, very good. He was constantly searching for people. He wasn't really waiting for them to come around until he got to the power points. In this case, he was in dugout waiting for people, or he was back in the laser room waiting for people. He did his best to move in and out of cover between kills, just so he has that time to regen his health or to check his radar safely. And he pre-naded both. He pre and post naded really well. He defended himself with his grenades. We saw a couple kills with defensive grenades. And then we saw a couple kills where he primed people with his grenades. And those were really good uses. Some things he did poorly were definitely... a lot of those pushes were in the center of traffic lanes and not hugging to one side. So again, be aware that when you do end up pushing to try to find people, you still want to push through cover. That's a habit you always want to be in, no matter what weapon type you're using. You want to be able to quickly dip back and defend yourself in case you over push or in case you get flanked. The worst spot for you is to be in the middle of a traffic lane with no good opportunities to escape. There definitely wasn't enough sliding. If you're gonna utilize a fusion rifle and bait people into you, you really want to stay off radar a lot. A lot of his engagements were heads up. He was constantly upright, and he had a couple nice challenges, but it wasn't habitual that he was challenging either through a jump or a slide. So we definitely work on you doing all your challenges really either through a jump or a slide. Slides are always going to be easier. They're always going to be less risky because no matter what weapon you're using, it's always going to have perfect accuracy on the ground. If you're using a hand cannon, definitely get used to playing more in the air. If that means upping your sensitivity a little bit, maybe by 1 or 2, so you can get more used to being able to fire in the air, or just getting more comfortable hip firing in the air. Those are the things that you want to work on if you're going to keep using a hand cannon and to its strengths. So we have our beautiful Timekeeper map. Again, courtesy of Orion. There's going to be a couple call-outs on this map that aren't really written. Mainly this back room. I call it dugout. That's just something that I was taught during sweats. But you can call it back room. That's fine. I'm just know that when I say dugout, this is what I mean in back room. God Rock, I call it God Rock. A lot of people call it Shelf or Head Glitch. This is a really good spot on 3s or on trials because of the way that the point spawns out here, to cover basically everything. So since this was a rumble, let's start with some power points that you can control on the rumble. And we saw that he controlled the dugout area here. And a couple times he was in the laser room. So what are the strengths of being in these locations? Well, first off, you can notice that every push, not there because that's a wall, but if you go underneath tunnel actually, so we'll differentiate that. If you're going underneath through tunnel, that's one choke point you have to go through. If you're up top in the mid lane, it's pretty open to push into you. And then there's another choke point here through pool. So everywhere that someone is going to push into you, as long as they're not spawning behind you on the back wall, they're all going to be through choke points or out of cover. So that makes this position really, really easy to defend. Everywhere you're going to get pushed is very predictable. There's a lot of cover based on elevation and also the pillar that's here, shooting out the lasers. As well as just hugging these little corners around the walls can basically protect you from someone coming in through pool. So as long as you can basically control the flow that people are coming into you, you never have to really leave laser room until heavy spawns. And once heavy spawns, it's very simple for you to either go underneath, kill people from under if you have a shotgun, or go through the top. And there's plenty of cover here if you just hug the wall here, where you can get close enough to really safely shotgun without taking any damage beforehand. If laser room gets a little hairy and you're being pushed by multiple people, the same lanes that you're covering are also pretty easy to push out of because, again, they're choke points. So if you engage someone, they're not going to have anywhere to go. On the flip side, if we're in back dugout, it's kind of the same situation, except we have to worry about being surrounded a lot more. Because if you're back on special, which again is one of the benefits of controlling dugout as opposed to laser room, you have access to a special a lot easier than access to the outside special and pool here. If we're covering dugout, we have a lot of elevation issues. So you have to be really good at reading your radar. There's the push through basement, which is going to be show on your radar as either above or below you. And then you have the push around the back door or up and around here through lobby or through C. And in there, this area here is all open. This area here is all open. And you really have to utilize the pillars that are in these two locations to keep yourself safe. And if you pick the wrong one, because there's more areas for you to get pushed into, it's more dangerous. However, unlike laser room, the sight lines here are very condensed. So it's much easier to shotgun and control dugout than it is to shotgun and control laser room, just because the distance that someone is coming from tunnel, whereas maybe you just killed someone by pool, you have to primary this distance. If you're in dugout and you just killed someone coming through basement, it's pretty easy to come around the corner and shotgun someone that's pushing from above, or hugging your cover and killing someone that's coming through back door. You don't have that opportunity really in laser room. You want to stay away from beach just because this is a spawn location and no one really moves to it. They're normally running away from it. And unless you have a long range primary, preferably a scout rifle, pulses just are a little too short for this area. But you can cover all of outside here. The benefit of this, if you're not a sniper, is that the long sight lines basically let you kill people trying to move around the map. If you are a sniper, it gives you an opportunity to kill people off spawn. One thing I don't see enough people utilize is, even though this is a turn back area, this is great cover to move behind. Most people get caught out in this location here on Light Beach. And that's because they'll kill someone here and then they'll try to move back to pillar. Well, if instead of trying to move back to pillar completely through the open, you pull around the rock, it doesn't give anyone coming out through the pool area or through laser room a shot on you, because no one expects you to go behind here. And you have plenty of time to get through here and then either push the pillar to get undercover, or to continue on and push behind this rock to get shots off on maybe someone that moved on to God Rock, or maybe that you can challenge the person that is coming out of laser room. Just make sure you don't kill yourself on accident going back there. You don't have much time. If you're a Titan, this is a really nice escape path. It's really clean. It's really simple. Most people don't expect it. So keep in mind that the locations that I didn't talk about are going to be your traffic paths. So Dark Beach to Donut to Backdoor. This area here is going to be traffic path. Lobby and the mid lane are going to be traffic paths. And basically C here. These are all traffic paths. So on Rumble, really, you have 3 good power points based on your loadout or your comfortability with the engagement spaces or just where you think people are going to move around the map. Rotationally, if you choose to do the rotation style as opposed to the PowerPoint control style, just move between these 3 zones. Your most dangerous point is actually going to be moving through lobby. So really you want to take a very long route around the map and really ignore B and B lane. If you can do that, then you'll be very successful on this map. So let's talk threes now. Threes, the flow on this map, as you can see, in trials you spawn outside, but you mostly spawn on beach in actual threes and not non-trials, and that's balance issues. Controlling spawns is pretty easy on Timekeeper. You basically have 4 locations, and it's just like a compass rose. You can basically spawn out here. You can spawn in Laser Room. You can spawn on Dark Beach, or you spawn out in Dugout. Those are the 4 major locations you're going to spawn on this map. Knowing that, it's pretty easy to move to different spots to get angles. Some really good angles, if you're a sniper on this map, are on God Rock, and which is a head glitch to basically B lane in lobby. There's on Laser Room, there's a couple elevation head glitches you can use here. You can actually jump onto the pillar, or you can go onto these stairs, and those are basically head glitches to each other. This lane here is head glitch to each other. If you do end up fighting against snipers that go to God Rock, there's a really good spot that was used against me in Sweats, and now I use all the time, and there's this little lip here. And that is a head glitch to God Rock, this little lip, and it's based on elevation. So if you utilize this spot, you can pick off anyone on God Rock or anyone out here on beach by this little pillar. If you're okay with letting people move through B, you can actually go onto this pillar here, and you have a nice shot right about there. It basically cuts off this portion of B lane. But you can basically push anyone that decides not to go by the exploding box. It's a good angle to cover if you're one of your teammates is on God Rock. Pardon me, because it's not as common to look for someone on that pillar, and you have a pretty good vantage point of someone trying to push through Laser Room. And also you have a very good vantage point of anyone trying to push under basement. Both these locations cover anyone coming through Donut. If you're not a sniper, going through Donut is a death trap. Don't do it. You're better off trying to move around and getting to this rock. And then either pushing this way or pushing that way or pushing straight over, depending on the situation. If we do decide that we're going to be aggressive and push spawns, keep in mind that there's basically only going to be 2 locations that you need to push. So it's good to try to pick a location that can cover both traffic lanes. Let's say we kill people in Laser Room, so we expect them to spawn Dark Beach or Light Beach. The best place to cut people off from moving around the map from here is around lobby. So if we post up around lobby, that gives us a good vantage point on if they pull through backdoor here, or if they push out through Donut here, or if they decide they're going to go onto God Rock or somewhere over by pool. This gives us options. As a flanker, Using basement is going to be your friend. A lot of people don't expect people to go through basement as a flank. And a lot of engagements don't actually take place in basement. They mostly take place on the point because of the drop down. So a lot of shotgun fights here. But if you just move through it, the most dangerous portion of basement is really the exploding boxes. If you can blow those up yourself or basically get past them too fast, then it's easy to move up and down the map. If you're going to move across the map, keep in mind that there are a lot of choke points to get from Laser Room to Dark Beach and vice versa. The only open area is through Beach, and you're very vulnerable to anyone just waiting for you on Dark Beach, rounding this corner. But because of how open it is and how wide it is, you can also attack from multiple angles if you do end up assaulting Beach. You don't necessarily need to pull around the corner. You can actually go through the donut, coordinated with a push through the hallway and through back door. It's pretty hard to get out of this situation as the team getting spawn pushed. Again, same thing if you're pushing someone in Laser Room. If you do end up pushing someone in Laser Room, again, you have those three options from under tunnel, through mid lane, and through pool. And they have nowhere to go. Same thing with Beach. You have nowhere to go. If you do end up pushing people in dugout, let's say you kill them on Beach and you think they're going to spawn dugout straight across, probably you're over in this corner if you're killing them, they're spawning dugout. Again, remember that the pushes into them are all through choke points. So if you're a sniper, try to hang back, try to get angles around lobby. On this pillar is really nice to get an angle down there, or just even back in Laser Room, you have a nice sight line if you're basically in the center of Laser Room to support your teammates. You might not get any kills, but you definitely cut off a portion of the map where they can retreat. So they can't really retreat through backdoor anymore because you've drawn a line in the sand. And their only option really is to push into basement because they no longer have an option to push into lobby weak. You're going to be covering that. If you do end up going on top of the pillar, be aware that you might get pushed around this direction. So be careful about covering that angle. Be careful about pushing out too far. Because if they do flank through backdoor here, then you are exposed. So you do need to drop back and be aware that there's an explosive here. So you need to blow that up if you're going to cover from here. You need to blow that up so you can cover your escape. These little things that you need to keep track of as a sniper. On trials on this map, as you can see, we spawn Bravo out on Light Beach, and Alpha is always in Laser Room. The 50-50 line is this lane here. Or if Bravo team is playing defensively, it's going to be this lane here. If you are Bravo team and you want to play outside or you want to play point, keep in mind that these flanks are long, and if you're not a good sniper, you're going to get picked off from locations that are rather far away from you. So you have a lot of angles to cover if they choose not to go through the 50-50. You have to cover underneath basement. You need to cover through Laser Room on pool side. You need to cover through donut. You need to cover the short pushes through hallway. And you need to cover the pushes around donut. If anyone ever flanks you behind donut, you're in a very precarious situation because of the path that I described earlier, where you can hug, if you're Titan, you can hug the outside, get behind cover, stay behind cover, and attack from here while your teammates attack from wherever else. Or maybe they're pushing out of pool and you're just basically annoying them and taking their attention away as they push through Laser Room into pool, and you're pushing around donut. It's pretty easy to collapse on a team in this way. It is out of cover, so if you do end up trying to do the flank that I just described, Titan's the best just because you want to be able to move through this cover as quickly as possible. You want to get past this dead zone of the light beach area. It's pretty difficult to do that properly with a class that just isn't as fast. So Timekeeper is a really fun map. It's one of my favorites. Most of the engagement spaces are varying distances, so you get a lot of interesting gunfights. And there's a lot of interesting ways to push people on the map, as I just described. So hopefully that helps you guys out. As I've said before, there's some changes to format that are coming up to the program. So I'm almost ready to reveal that to you guys. I'm really excited about it, and hopefully you guys will be too. But for now, like usual, I will be back Saturday at 2. That's the new time to do another review. I believe it'll be another Rumble match, but this time with a shotgun. I haven't been ignoring shotgunners. I just haven't got a lot of submissions from shotgunners. So if you are a shotgunner and you feel like you're being left out, submit to me your gameplay. Again, keen@cruciblebootcamp.com, and I'll write that up right now. Because I still need shotgun gameplay. I like watching shotgunners play. It's all a positioning game, so it's very good to share that kind of positional game with people, because it's difficult to properly tell someone how to push as opposed to just showing them how to push. So again, I'm not ignoring shotgunners. I just don't have enough material from you guys. So send it to me. I'm hungry for it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I appreciate it. And I'll be back on Saturday. Qual out.